A TRRS adapter for your audio jack for your phone, or USB-C audio jack when you have an adapter because you don't have an audio jack on your phone, to record an external microphone straight into your video file on your phone. Or you could also use it to just record the audio on your phone, which is also possible, so using the phone as an audio recorder. So here is how it actually works out. There are 3 rings here, as you can see, and this means the audio TRRS standard has 3 signals. This means there is basically a stereo signal on the side of the headphones, and there is a mono signal on the side of the actual microphone. This means you also can only use microphone as a mono signal, so there are no 2 sides. So now what you do is, straight out of your microphone, for example, or even your amplifier, like I used the Zoom H6, what you then do is you actually just connect this here to your phone. The next step would be to also use headphones, because you actually then can listen to the audio while recording, which makes it possible to monitor it better. I mean, you could also theoretically just do it without the monitoring part. It's not really influencing how this turns out. And the next part is actually connecting the microphone to your audio recording device. But this is a little bit more complicated than I made it sound right here, because the thing is, this is not only a microphone, but this is also a USB interface, and this is also so the USB interface part is not important for what I explained right now. But the thing is, it also is an USB. I said it again wrong. It also is an audio recorder. Because it's an audio recorder, it also works as an amplifier. The thing is, there are 2 different types of microphones. The first are dynamic ones, and the second are condensator ones. So condenser microphones. Condensator is just the German word. I translated it into English right now, and it didn't work. So there are condenser microphones and dynamic microphones. Actual dynamic microphones have a very low signal coming out of the microphone itself. This means you have to have an amplifier in order to use this hack, because the phone probably doesn't amplify the audio as much as you would like it to be, or you would like it to be amplified. And now the second thing, but you can theoretically use, for example, a dynamic USB mic for this hack, or not a USB mic, since we are using audio jacks and audio cables right now and not USB. USB would be the prime solution, the king solution, you could also say, but that's not what we are talking about right now, because we are talking about connecting it via the TRRS audio jack or adapter. So now the thing is, what you actually need to consider is this. You also have condenser mics, and condenser mics work a little bit differently. They basically have a magnetic coil in them, and there's like a thing, and then the thing is, whenever you have a wire that's made, whenever you have a wire and then you have a magnet that's moving through the wire, which looked kind of strange right now, but that's actually what's happening. Whenever you have this, then actually what is induced in the wire is a current. And a condenser microphone uses this physics hack to actually produce audio. So therefore the signal is nothing more than a signal produced in the wire that's moving around the magnet. So usually this is an electromagnet. This means a condenser mic actually needs an external source for power. So now this is a device that can actually deliver this power, and because it's kind of a hidden power, just like many of the Marvel characters have also hidden powers, or maybe they don't, but this is called phantom power. So what you need for condenser mics is phantom power. What you need for dynamic mics is, well, you need to amplify them. And you also theoretically could amplify the condenser mics, but the thing is, just the difference is condenser mics need an external power source, so that's already a differentiation, and then the audio coming out of it is usually a little bit higher with the condenser mics, at least in my experience and what I think right now, because I could also just think the wrong things, I guess. So now, when it comes to actually, the hack isn't so easy as it turned out to be, because I recorded basically before. I was like, yeah, it's just very easy. And then you just use the USB connection, but this is not the USB connection. Therefore, it's not as easy because you are working with actual like things like microphones and stuff. Now, what you actually now need to do is you need to amplify the audio in order for it to record it onto your phone. Therefore, you need something like an audio amplifier or like an audio recorder where you actually already also amplifies the audio. Signal. So what you could use is one of the Zooms. So there's the Zoom H1, which is very cheap and it's also very handy, and they are also all very handy. All of them are very handy. This is also why they are called handy recorders, I guess. Then there is the Zoom H2, there's the Zoom H3, I guess. The Zoom H4 is also pretty good. It's basically this one, but with this thing connected permanently, because this one you can take off, and it's also a little bit smaller. And it only has like 2 inputs, whereas this one has actually 4 inputs. And theoretically, you could even go with 6 if you exchange the capsule here. So now, what you need is an audio recorder. Therefore, if you already have an audio recorder, you could theoretically, if the audio recorder also is an USB interface, which the Zoom H4 is, and the Zoom H6 also. There is also a Zoom H8 out there right now, I think, but it's pretty much a very big thing, also meant for podcasting. So what you actually need is you need a microphone. Then you connect a microphone in the best case scenario, because that's the most minimal scenario to an audio recorder like the Zoom H6, because what this also enables you to do is to not only record the audio straight into the phone, but also to record a backup on the audio recorder, since the audio recorder also has the function of actually being able to record the audio. It's the audio that is running through the recorder. So now, what you can do is we leave out the USB interface function of this. Therefore, we used either the microphone, the built-in microphone of these recorders, because most of these, at least in the Zoom series, most of these recorders have already a built-in mic, but you can also plug in a lavalier mic or also a normal mic like this one here. This is a normal dynamic mic I use for recordings for music, but also you could use it as a normal mic. It's of course mono, because every mic is only one signal. And then you connect it to the audio recorder. Usually what you have is actually these are called XLR, but I don't know if in the English speaking world they are also called XLR. Yeah, well, there are these connectors, and this also looks like this. The actual connection to the audio device sometimes is via 3.5mm USB jack, or sometimes via this professional XLR cable. I don't know what, I already said it, that I don't know if this is the equivalent term, but this is how they actually look. You could also use a guitar cable, but the problem about guitar cables is that they only have like 2 signals. This means there is no signal. So usually on these 2, you have like a signal that's responsible for the signal itself. Then you have, I think, a 0 signal. I can't remember it that well, since someone explained it to me or I read it up on the internet. And then there is one signal that basically acts as isolation. That's very simplified because it's actually physics and stuff. And with a guitar cable, you don't have the actual functionality of something that prevents the sound from actually, it's basically like a protection for the signal itself, and a guitar cable doesn't have the protection for the signal itself. Therefore, it does work, but whenever you go on stage, for example, it's not the thing I would recommend you to do. Now, finally, putting it all together, you need a microphone. This could either be an external microphone like the one I showed you, or a lavalier mic, or you use the built-in microphone, because this basically also acts as a microphone right now. Then from the microphone you need to somehow connect the sound to the handy recorder you have, or to the audio interface you also might have. The audio interface might also have a USB functionality like this one, or like the Scarlett devices, which are basically one of the most recommended things on the internet when it comes to these audio devices. And then what you also need is the output of the actual handy recorder. So Of course, recorders can record things, but they also can output the audio amplified, and this comes in very handy. So we then would connect the Zoom H6 audio that's coming out of it. You could theoretically also use the headphone audio, which I am using to listen to my voice right now. And this is so nice about the Zoom because it actually has two output jacks, so two 3.5mm jacks output. So now I have my headphones connected, but you also have this other, and this other is basically just a normal aux output that is on a normal audio level, basically on an amplified audio level, which is very handy because then we can actually use the audio to plug it in into here. I'm not seeing it right now as good as you. Yeah, well, I think this is also something that can happen whenever you record something. And the next thing is actually to then connect it to which one? You guessed it already, it's the microphone, and then you just connect it to the Trrs jack on your device, which is either built in or you use the USB-C adapter. With the USB-C adapter, you have to be sure it's a RRS adapter, because otherwise you only have the headphone functionality. And that's how you use 3.5mm cables to connect with TRS and with the normal audio jack standard, which is just 2, as you can see here. Now, something else we have to discuss. Why can you use... So, the adapter has 3, of course. The adapter itself has 3 rings, which we already discussed, is for 2 signals for the headphones and 1 for the mono. But now, the audio coming out of the Zoom actually doesn't need to be stereo, therefore it can be 2. I mean, theoretically, I don't know what happens. Probably the adapter makes the audio mono whenever it goes in, because right now it's stereo because I'm using a stereo microphone. Probably it gets monofied, as you could say. So basically the sound gets equalized. Not equalized, but it gets basically the same. It makes it the same on both ears. And there's no difference anymore. So it basically takes the sound of both and then just mixes them, puts them together into one. And therefore, you can also just use a normal cable, because there are not really TRRS cable out there. I mean, theoretically, there are, because headsets are also TRRS. We could actually take a look at the headset right now. I mean, this means I don't hear myself anymore. But yeah, well, a normal headset also has the same functionality, as you might have already realized. A normal headset has 2 for the audio, so 2 for the stereo audio, and 1 for the actual headphone. Not for the headphone, but for the microphone. That, of course, when, for example, phone calls happen, you use the microphone of the headset. And basically, what you are doing by doing this TRRS hack, you're just using the headset functionality of your phone, but instead of using the headset mic, you use an external mic that's better than the headset mic. And that's the end, I guess. I hope you understood it all.